I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. Today we're talking about race gates. First, I'm going to show you the way that our flight club has come up with the best way we've found to build race gates on the cheap. And then we're going to take a look at some professionally made race gates that you can buy from BLine Race Gates. Stay tuned. The FPV Racing Club here in Knoxville has been around for about 2 years, and I'm actually I'm happy to say I was one of the founding members, by which I mean one day I was searching on the internet for other people who raced mini quads, and I found the Knoxville FPV Racing group, and I was like, "Where have you been?" And the guy said, "Well, I just made the group." And then we got together in a park and flew, and eventually more people showed up. And if you are in a town you can't find anybody to fly with, you can't find other racers, start a Facebook group. Your town name, FPV Racing or something. Start a multi-GP chapter and get yourself listed. There are probably some of you live in really small towns, really far out there, okay? But there's probably other people who are flying in any sort of medium-ish sized town, and they're looking. And nobody has just made a group that they can find. So I definitely encourage you to do that. In that time, we have tried to get race gates on the cheap. We started with just PVC pipe bent into a half circle, stuck into rebar in the ground, and that was terrible, right? We've come up with what I think is the most cost-effective way to build race gates. You're not going to have to, spend a lot of money on materials up front, and they're reasonably durable, so you're not going to be constantly buying new parts to replace them. But before I tell you what that is, let me tell you another way to get race gates on the cheap, and that is to start a multi-GP chapter. At least the way we did it, if you got to be a Tier 2 multi-GP chapter, they sent you a set of race gates for free. And basically, sponsors pay to get their logos on the race gates, and then when you put your race footage up on YouTube, the sponsors get some, I don't know, I guess that's the deal. At the time that we did it, it was relatively easy if you had enough racers show up to get to the Tier 2. All you had to do is do so many races with so many racers within a certain amount of time. And so basically one day somebody here in Knoxville decided, darn it, we're getting to a Tier 2. I'm getting those gates. And every weekend he would just say, look, we're racing. Who's racing right now? And we would put laps in and record times, and eventually they sent us free gates. So if you're able and willing to do that, that is a great way to get some really high quality race gates for nothing but the hassle of wrangling people and clocking laps and submitting times to the website. But many people aren't going to be able to do that, especially if you want a set of gates to own yourself, to practice at home, or if you live somewhere where you don't have other people to race with. Here's the method that we've come up with that I think is really good. You get some PVC. Now, you can go with 1/2-inch PVC pipe, but it's really floppy and flexible. I recommend you go with 3/4-inch PVC pipe. The PVC pipe comes in 10-foot sticks. You cut it to 5-foot length, and you're getting ready to make a 5-foot regulation size air gate. That's the size of a multi-GP regulation opening. You could go with 4-foot openings. If you want to cut them a little bit shorter, you'll have a little bit of waste, but if you practice with 4-foot gates, racing in 5-foot gates is going to feel really great. And many higher end races are using really even smaller 3-foot gates, very small gates. So your call how big you want to make them. Then you get some pool noodles. You know, the big foam noodles that people use them in the pool. These are hard to find in the winter. So if you can snap them up in the summer, then go for it. Or you could always order them online. But they're always a little more expensive online. And if you catch them at the right time of the year, you can sometimes just go to the dollar store and get them for $1, much, much cheaper. Now, you want the great big fat pool noodles. You don't want the little skinny thin ones, the great big fat ones. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that pool noodle and you're going to slice it down its length like a hot dog bun, okay? Then you're going to take the 3/4-inch PVC, you're going to slide it in there, and it's going to close up around it. Then get some duct tape. We like to use white duct tape because you can see it better than colored duct tape when you're out in the field. Take that duct tape, put a couple, you could just barber pole down the whole length, but what we like to do is you put a couple loops around it like a belt, And then the length of it, you do big long strips, the entire length of the pool noodle. But by the way, the purpose of the pool noodle is because when you smack the PVC with your quadcopter, it can shatter the PVC and it can break your quad. But when you put the pool noodle on there, it's not going to be as likely to damage your quad. Everything's going to be just a little more durable. So then you may be saying, well, what's the point of putting the white duct tape on there if you got the pool noodle on there? And the reason is that the white duct tape, number one, it improves visibility, but number two, it keeps the props from chopping big chunks of pool noodle out and throwing it on the ground. So it keeps the ground a little bit cleaner, which is nice. If you're in a public park, by the way, hey guys, if you're in a public park when you're flying and racing, clean up after yourself. Pick up your broken props. Pick up the chunks of foam from your gates, all that stuff. Don't leave that stuff laying around. Be a good citizen. Okay, so that it keeps the chunks from coming out, and basically means that you're going to have the noodle is going to last longer before you have to replace it. You will have to replace them eventually, but the duct tape helps with that. So what will happen is the prop will hit the pool noodle, the duct tape will kind of hold it together, and then you just take another strip of duct tape and you just put it over the top of the cut and you keep using it. And then, of course, the question is, in case it's not obvious to you, how do you stick them to the ground? And what you do is you go to the hardware store and you buy some pieces of rebar. You can usually, where I am, you typically get it in like 3-foot lengths. You can get it in 6-foot lengths, but you don't really want that. And then you got to cut it. The best way to cut it is not with maybe an angle grinder, if you have such a thing. A hacksaw will do the job, but it's really freaking slow. There are various other types of metal cutting tools that'll cut it. You're going to cut it to about, let's say, 8-inch, 10-inch lengths, and then it's going to go into the ground, and the PVC sits down on top of it. You get some right angle brackets. The PVC all sticks together just by friction. Don't glue them together. So by friction, they'll stick together. In a bad crash, the gate will come apart, but you just stick it back together and you're fine. And then you can take them apart at the end of the day, load them in the back seat of your car. You're all good to go. If you actually get some PVC T's instead of right angles, you can make double height gates. And then you can have, like an over-under or all kinds of things. And in fact, if you really go nuts with this, you can build gravity gates. You can build a great big 2-high cube and have a gravity gate. Sorry about that. Have a gravity gate you go down into. On some of these more complicated structures, you got to get some rope and guy it out with stakes to help keep it from falling over. But it's really very flexible and not too expensive. But here's the problem with all of this. Visibility is the problem. Let me show you some sample footage and you'll see what I mean. In this freeze frame, there are 4 race gates. And I'm willing to bet you've already spotted the 2 race gates from BLine with the white fabric on them, even though they're actually farther away from the camera and therefore smaller in the camera than the pool noodle race gates, which many of you probably still haven't spotted. Let's play the footage forward. Look how much further away you could start to see the white race gates with the fabric on them compared to the pool noodle ones. Now, granted, these pool noodles don't happen to have the white duct tape on them, which does increase the visibility slightly, but not anywhere near as much as the fabric does. The fabric makes a huge difference in the overall visibility. This matters more on tracks with long straights and sweeping turns than it does on tighter tracks, but it matters regardless. So let's take a look now at the BLine gates. I just shot some video while I was out there in the field showing my impressions, showing the results of flying with them. We'll cut out there to the field. So these are the BLine race gates. We're going to use them today for our little meetup. And I'm taking some video of them now because we're going to crash the crap out of them and we'll probably destroy a bunch of them. If we don't destroy them, then it'll be a good day. So this one, as you can kind of see how that works there. It's pretty cool because it's got this right angle connector with these little screw thread things, and it's got the stake attached to it and built in, so it's really easy to set up. And the other beautiful thing that I just discovered is that you can take, and a little hard to do one-handed. We're going to have our model here demonstrate it. You give it a half a twist, it folds down flat, and it comes with a bag that'll go in. Thank you very much. So that you can just toss that in your trunk or something. Oh, look at that. It doesn't even want to pop up. That's beautiful. And then, so you don't have to screw with it. You just take it home like that. And then when you're ready to race, you just take it out. It'll pop right back up again. These ones here, these panels, are made for PVC, so they send you the panel and you supply the PVC to set up the gate. And it's got a Velcro panel at the bottom, so you can turn it into a gravity gate as well. Hello there.
Sorry.
You're all right. Yeah, so you can turn it into a gravity gate as well. Just dive down through it. Anyway, there we go. That's a first quick look at them, and if there's anything left of them at the end of the day, then I'll do more of a review. But now you've seen them in their factory new, pristine condition. Well, let's see how they're doing. This one's in pretty good shape. So you can see here, it is starting to get tore up. I mean, you hit something with props and it's going to get tore up, but I don't know. Hard to say how long they'll last. That's hard to judge. I know from our multi-GP gates that they will last. You could keep using them when they're real beat up. They make hearts when they fall down, so that's nice. Love. Yeah, see? I'm just going to stand here and record you instead of helping. The other thing I noticed about them is that if you hit them real hard, these come apart. They come apart. So it might be nice if they had some elastic in them or something. Here's the other thing. It was pretty windy today. Just got windy actually. But since they're not perforated, they catch the wind a little more than like the multi-GP gates. They're made of the perforated fabric, porous fabric to let the wind through. Now, the discussion of these gates wouldn't be complete if we didn't take into account price. And price is, in fact, one of the reasons why I decided to show you this product. You know, there's all kinds of really super high-end, expensive race gate type products that none of us can ever afford, and what will be the point of me even showing them to you? But when I saw the price of these products, I actually thought it was pretty reasonable. It's not as cheap as the hardware store ones you build yourself, but the visibility is way better. And if this is what you want, then I think this is a price that you might be willing to pay. So, oh, by the way, when we go into the prices, you should know that these are all Australian dollars, didgeridoo-doos, I think they're called. And what that means is for those of us in America, then it's 0.76 is the multiplier. So right here, we've got the pop-up FPV racegate, 36 Australian dollars is 27 US dollars. So 27 bucks for this one, or you can get 6 of them for $236.15, which again, let's just convert real quick to, why is US dollars really, I really am so annoyed whenever US is not at the top of every ordered list. I know it's not alphabetical. It's in order of awesomeness and patriotism, and we're obviously number one at that. $236.15, $236.15, 180 bucks. So 180 bucks for 6 of them. That's a fair whack of change, but if you're serious about racing, hey, you know, 200 bucks might be worth spending. The standard multi-GP style gates are even cheaper, actually. Even cheaper than the pop-ups. And if you're into multi-GP style racing, that's probably more like what you want. These are 24 bucks Australian, which is 18 bucks US. Or you can get a set of, I think you get a set of 6. Where are they? There should be a set, 10X. 10 of them for 280 Australian dollars. Yikes, yeah. And they can also do customized ones with your logo on them. If you're a hotshot racer, you want the name of your club on it, they'll do customized ones for not too much more. And by the way, in case it wasn't obvious, the multi-GP style gate, you provide the PVC to hold up the edges, and they give you just these fabric pieces. So you still, the cost isn't complete. You still have to spend a few bucks on PVC and so forth to make it stand up. So what's the conclusion then about these BLine race gates? Well, like I said, they're the best I've seen in terms of being somewhat reasonably priced and having decent quality. So I guess I recommend them, but now you guys are going to fill the comments up with companies I've never heard of that are cheaper and better. So if that's the case, by all means, let me and the rest of the viewers know. I should add, by the way, that the material the BLine gates are made of it's whatever backpacking tents are made of. Is that nylon? I don't really know. Some material. And I bet you that you can go to your local whatever Walmart and get a tent repair kit and use the patches in the tent repair kit to repair these as they get ripped up. That's kind of cool. So that's a real plus. About the only improvement that I suggested to BLine was I wish the multi-GP style gates had a big enough channel that the PVC goes into that you could put a piece of PVC in it with a pool noodle on it. And for the same reason, just a little bit of extra padding for when you smash your quad into it. But other than that, I thought they were really pretty good products. Getting back to the DIY style gates, the only sort of closing question that I have is, what is out there that you could buy like at a hardware store that would let you make your own multi-GP style gates? Some kind of fabric or something that would let you put that extra fabric on the inside of the PVC so you don't just have naked PVC. Gosh, I know it must be out there, but I haven't been able to figure out what it is yet. Maybe you guys know. You can leave some suggestions down in the comments. That's going to do it for this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Of course, thank you guys for watching, and as always, happy flying.